Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we'll be taking a look at our list of 10 censored moments in Mario games. For as family-friendly as Mario seems here in America, changes in other regions, including our own, beg to differ. Which moment of Mario censorship surprised you the most? Let us know down in the comments.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
eSerb 316.
Oh my god!
One of the strangest things about Mario Party is just how often the series has faced censorship compared to the other Mario spin-offs, and none of them had anything to do with alcohol. You know, the good stuff that can land a party in some hot water. The first Mario Party, for instance, was censored because of lines uttered by Wario and Luigi that might appall the more religious players outside of Japan. Rather than potentially alienate those audiences, Nintendo would change Luigi's line to a simple wail and Wario's to his German phrase, "Oh, I missed."
Oh my god!
Puzzles for adults. Again, you would think the alcohol references would be found more in something like Mario Party, not a game where you etch out blocks to make pictures. Some of the puzzles featured in the Japanese version see you creating pictures of alcoholic drinks as well as tobacco and various items that were more focused on Japanese culture. For international versions, these puzzles were replaced to etch out works that formed animals, food, and other images. This was most likely done due to Nintendo of America and various other branches having policies against featuring drinking and smoking in video games, which is understandable considering how countries view those habits very differently across their respective cultures. Yoshi's Seafood Snack. Even though Super Mario World faced visual changes across different regions, most of them were done out of necessity to character names and how systems were optimized. The one big change, however, involved our adorable green dino. In the Japanese version, Yoshi is able to eat the dolphins featured in some of the water levels, but this was removed from international versions, most likely due to how other countries viewed dolphin hunting and animal cruelty. Or, by some off chance, maybe this was just because of a bug, and it was an overlooked bit of code. Regardless, the GBA port would restore this possibility in all versions. Go home, Luigi. South Korea has an incredibly strict government when it comes to gambling. At least it is for Korean citizens, regardless if they gamble in or outside of the country. It's viewed so negatively that a Korean citizen could face some serious time in prison. And yet, tourists are more than welcome to gamble at what few casinos reside. And so, when Super Mario 64 DS was released in South Korea, you could probably guess what portion of the game was removed entirely to abide by these laws. And it wasn't just Luigi's Casino minigames, every minigame got removed. Luigi, we might have to have a talk about your problem. It's affecting everybody, man. Mushroom Kingdom's Freedom Fighter. Was this a moment of censorship? This one has admittedly never been confirmed, but given the political climate at the time, one cannot help but be suspicious. In Origami King, one toad goes into a frenzy after being freed, crying out about how toads have no rights and deserve freedom. In the Chinese version, the new text translates to, quote, "Toads need to be clean, toads need peace and quiet," end quote. Some argue that the new quote has more cultural, economic context to it and still uses the general tone of injustice. But given the events of the Hong Kong protests that occurred before the game's release, we wouldn't be surprised if the Chinese government had a hand in the censorship. No bubbles allowed. The Mario Kart series has kept its hands somewhat clean, but the first bit of censorship it faced was in the very first game. The Japanese versions of Super Mario Kart feature 2 animations for Peach and Bowser that see them drink straight from champagne bottles. Champagne bottles have long had a role in celebrating victories in motorsports, so the inclusion here was totally understandable. Not so much when catering to other demographics though, specifically in the West. Nintendo of America changed the animations to adhere to their guidelines on depicting alcohol in games. The Smoking Guns. The first Mario Party just faced a couple of audio changes. Mario Party 2, on the other hand, was hit with a double whammy. First off, Professor Fungi's pipe is removed from the international versions of the game because, you know, usage of tobacco. But the big one many of you probably know already is the ending to Western Land, where Bowser and the winner's guns are replaced with cork poppers. For as much as we would love the somewhat more violent version, the cork poppers make the whole ending just way more entertaining. Facing problems. Not even the good Dr. Mario is safe from the censor's scrutiny. Thing is that this one does skirt the line of racism. In the English versions of Dr. Mario 64, Octo is depicted with a blue shelling and orange interior. In the Japanese version, Octo has a more questionable appearance. Basically, it was an alteration done very much in the same way Pokemon went about with changing Jinx. A poor choice of words. Mario Party found itself in a bit of trouble once more, and this time it was financially damaging. Mario Party 8 was not in the United Kingdom market for long when it initially launched. Customers were furious over the game's inclusion of the term spastic, prompting Nintendo to do a total recall. Changes were made in the game's code using the word erratic instead, reprints were made, and it inflated Mario Party 8's budget a little more than the conglomerate probably would have liked. Too many to list. The ThousandYear Door may go down as the most heavily censored game in Mario history. There were simply way too many changes thrown around for us to make separate entries about them. There's the house with the chalked outline of a supposedly murdered Toad, the less graphic name used for the red bones, the alteration of red wine turning into Chocola-Cola, which, by the way, is still a clever reference to the Mario and Luigi games, the boos that wear cat ears because we can't reference Playboy bunnies in a Mario game, and even Mario's Wave, which was removed in the European versions for reasons obvious to anybody who has taken a history class. And do we even dare get into the whole thing about Vivian? We'd rather not, but you get our point.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.